You know, Reaktor never ceases to amaze me. There's literally nothing it can't do. So in this video, we're going to take a look at 4 next level Reaktor creations that you will want to get your hands on as soon as you see what they do. And just wait till you see what this automation feature does here. You're absolutely going to love it. Let's get straight into it. Next up we have Ruidos, I think I'm saying that right, and that's an ensemble by Blink Sonic. Link for Blink Sonic is in the description. Great ensembles, go check them out. Ruidos is a random groove generator, and it's just really good for unstable off-kilter grooves to accompany a more solid kick snare pattern, basically to spice your beats up. And this ensemble uses a 16-step sequencer, which you can see in the middle here, to trigger samples, either in single sample mode, where only one sound is triggered, or in random mode, where the ensemble will use one of the 127 different samples that come with the ensemble. So there's no actual sound generation here. Ruidos triggers the samples that come with it. It comes with about 60 presets, and they all sound pretty good actually, but I'm not going to play through all of those. I've got 4 or 5 here which I think are particularly good, and I'm going to be using the TRK-01 ensemble as a nice kick to provide a rhythmic backbone. So let's try a few out with and without the kick. Let's take a look at the global controls at the top here. So we have the level, which controls the volume of the output, compression, how much of the signal goes into the compressor, which is here, how smooth the samples are that are being triggered, the pitch of the samples, the speed that they're being played at, and the granularity. And then we've got the pan. We'll come to these two in just a second. And down here we've got the, I guess this is a kind of oscilloscope which is showing the samples that are being triggered. And then we've got an ADSR envelope for the samples that are being triggered by the sequencer. So an attack, decay, sustain, release. Let's just quickly take a look at how that works. So you can see that's cutting the attack there, and that will increase the release. And to come back to these here, like I said a bit earlier, you have 2 modes which you control here with the single trigger or the random trigger. When you're in single trigger mode, it looks like this, and this control here determines which sample is being triggered. And when you want to randomize things, click here, and this control is then ignored, and we're only working with the range here. This allows you to determine how many of the 129 samples that the ensemble will use to trigger sounds. So there you see how the global controls work: attack, decay, sustain, release. Let's take a look at the sequencer itself now, which is kind of the belly of the beast. So you've got a 16-step sequencer here. The steps that are highlighted in white are those that are being triggered. Here you get to determine how quickly the ensemble cycles through the sequencer, and then you've got the direction control, so it can run backwards or forwards, both, and it can be randomized as well. You can add a bit of shuffle and a bit of offset to make the pattern, give the pattern a bit more groove. So let's take a look at the effects section, which is just here. And we actually have, we click on the drop down, we've got 12 different modes that we can use. And I want to work with the vowel filter for this. So that's how you select the effect that's being applied to the entire sequence. And here the incoming signal is split into higher and lower frequencies, and this channel strip here that allows you to determine how much effect is added to the higher and how much added to the lower. So this intriguing rectangle here, this is actually an XY axis, and that allows you to control the parameters of the effect that you've chosen into axes. So let's just see how that sounds in real time. And what you can do in Reaktor, and I think this is a really underused function, underused feature, is you can record that movement and then play back so that it's automated. And really quite easy to do that, but we do need to switch into edit mode just by clicking there. And you simply press record, and then let's press play and just record some movement just like this. There we go, let's turn that off. Switch back to normal mode and enable playback mode. And when we press play, you will see the head move just as we recorded it, just like this. So that looks a bit jagged at the moment, so switch on the interpol and that will make it a lot smoother. And what we can also do here with these two controls, you can control the length of the recording, so whether it goes through the entire automation that you just recorded or just a section of it. I'll just leave it at the full extent of the recording, and this will allow you to speed up and slow down how quickly it plays through the automation. So let's speed that right up and slow it right down. So that's a fantastic function, and like I said, quite underused in Reaktor, but it's implemented really well here. And once you've applied the effects here with one of the 12 that you can use, and you've added a bit of automation, the sound then passes through the main filter. You've got an X-Y axis control here. Can't automate this one. That would really be the cherry on top of the cake if you could automate this as well, but you can't. But you do get a nice choice of different filters. Let's go for a high pass there, just see what effect that has on the sound. Pretty self-explanatory. And then as a final module, we have a reverb here, which you switch on by pressing there. You see that in action, switched on and off. And what that does is it gives you an extra palette to add to your sound. So you've gone through the vowel filter, you've gone through the high pass, and then you can add a slap back reverb, or you can add a total washout reverb, depending on exactly what you want to do. So that's RUIDOZ. What a fantastic ensemble. The fact that it's free is incredible. Link for the free version is in the description. Link for RUIDOZ 2, which is an upgrade from this, a more modern version with a lot more bells and whistles. That is also in the description. While you're there, check out Blink Sonic's other fantastic ensembles. So there you have RUIDOZ. Now we're going to take a look at something totally different. And here we have the Nada Brahma delay, and I know what you're saying. I don't need any more delays because I've got loads, but stick with me. This is a bit different, and it wouldn't be in the video if it was just a standard delay. And as you know, Reaktor can be used in all kinds of ways to create all kinds of great stuff, and this is a perfect example of that. Essentially, it's a delay with 4 different delay lines. Each delay comes with the same settings, so whether you're on delay 2, 3 or 4, it's the same, but you can obviously change the parameters on each delay line. So you have a delay, as you might imagine, and you can either sync to the tempo in all kinds of odd time signatures if you want, or you can use milliseconds, entirely up to you. Then you've got your feedback, pan and level, and for the delay there's an independent LFO that you can use to modulate. Moving on, we've got a pitch shifter, which is one of the best parts of this ensemble, as you'll see in a short while. You have the option to reverse the signal, which is very handy, and pitch shift up to 2 octaves and down to 2 octaves. And then across the middle section here, we've got the filter, 6 different filter types. Moving on, we've got a nice stereo tremolo effect there. And at the end of the effects chain, we've got a nice reverb. So yeah, what can you use this for instead of just a basic delay? And you can modulate that filter with an independent LFO. Well, and you can create it to create something delicate and ethereal, or you can really mess stuff up and make it sound insanely mad because you've got 4 different delay lines that you can apply all kinds of effects to. So let's get straight into it. We're going to be using another Reaktor ensemble, and it is the Air Piano by Boscomac. So this is what the Air Piano sounds like on its own. What I'd like to do now is just take the analog triolet preset, which sounds like this on its own. Nothing too complex there, just a simple delay. You've got delay 1, which is at 1/4, and delay 2, which is 3/8, which is giving a nice delay pattern. But what I would like to do is use this as a springboard, and I'm going to engage delay 3 and delay 4. In delay 3, what I've done is reduce the pitch by 2 octaves and not used any filter or tremolo, but I've added a large reverb, as you can see down here, and the mix is full up to 1, and this is what it sounds like. Yep, so that's working nicely. Nice chill out drone as a bass for the other piano sounds to work with. And on delay 4, what I've done is to increase the pitch by 7 semitones, so I've taken it in the opposite direction to delay 3, added a filter, and as you can see, the cutoff and resonance oscillating away quite nicely there. I'm using a sine wave at 1/2, so nothing too fast, nothing too frantic, no tremolo, and I've added some reverb, not as much of a wash as on delay 3, and this is what it sounds like now. And what I'm going to do is take the dry signal out totally, so we've only got the wet. Turn this up a little as well, and I'm just going to add a rhythm so that it all gels nicely and we can see how everything works together. And just a quick reminder, this is where we started, and now we've come to this. So that should give you some idea of what this delay unit can do. I'd say by no means is it a vanilla delay. You can do all kinds of things here with the pitch shifting and the filter, reverb and some tremolo, and achieved some really different results from what essentially was just a very basic couple of notes triggered on a piano, and we've ended up with quite a nice little soundscape there just by using this one delay unit. So link is in the description. Go and check it out, see what it can do for your tracks. Great little ensemble, this one. Let's move on to the next one. Next up we've got Klepto Burger, which is a deceptively simple random groove generator. Really small, as you can see here, it doesn't take up much screen space, and it's also got a really small CPU footprint, which is great. Very simple. You've got 4 knobs and a shuffle control here. We're going to get into what each of those does in a second, but this is what it sounds like out of the box. So it's got a good beat going on there, but the joy comes in when you look at this little fella here. It's a Space Invader. No idea why the creator included a Space Invader. I'm glad that he did. As you can see, it dances when you put the beat on. Not only that, when you click him, he will generate a new groove for you. So I'll click a couple of times there and just see what we've got. What a fantastic toy. It just makes it so easy to generate new beats just on the fly like that. So I love this little thing to bits. The controls, let's start from the top right here and work our way across. Shuffle, that will allow you to increase and decrease the amount of shuffle that is applied to the groove. Pretty self-explanatory, as is the level. That is the output of the beat. The density allows you to increase and decrease what's going on in the beat. So turn it right down and it's going to be very sparse. Turn it up and it will be very full. So let's just have a quick listen to that. And then we've already covered this little fella here. You know what he does. Let's take a look at this section, which is where you've got the kick, the clap and the hat. You can click here, that will turn the kick off and back on. You can choose to have just the clap, both the clap and the hat. And if you go one notch further on either side, it will turn the clap and the hat off entirely. So let's turn these 3 elements off so that we've just got the groove, and this is what it will sound like. This is such a great toy. Definitely more orientated towards the EDM side of things with techno and house, minimal techno, that kind of stuff. I found that there's 2 ways to use Klepto Burger. I create the beats in Reaktor itself and just use Reaktor's rather cool record function to capture what's coming out. Or I import it into my DAW, work with it there and just replace the kick and the clap sound with different sounds, so you get greater control of the sounds that are complementing the groove that Klepto is creating. And this is the beat that we're working with. So we've got the kick and the clap there. I'm going to turn them off, and what we're going to do is work with an independent kick in the form of track 01 by Native Instruments, and we're going to use Breath by In-Ear Display for the clap. Turn them both on and just make sure the kick's off here, and this is what it sounds like now. But that's Klepto, that's what it sounds like. Very easy to use, very low CPU, which is always very useful. Love this little thing to bits. Link is in the description. Let's move on to the next one. And that brings us to our final synth, the Migraine Marlene. And as you can probably tell from the interface, This is quite an old ensemble. It was on the user library a long time ago, and I mean over a decade ago. Then it was removed, and now it's been re-uploaded, so it's available from the link in the description. And what I'd like to highlight here with Reaktor is not everything that you find on the user library is going to be intuitive. It's often going to be very enigmatic. It's designed by the creator to meet their specific needs, and then they've very generously decided to put it on the user library for the likes of you and me to download and use. But what that means really is the creator understands what's going on, and it's not quite so clear for the rest of us. And I think this is a perfect example of this. It's a fantastic sounding synth, as you're going to find out very shortly. But I'm not going to lie, for the most part, I'm totally in the dark with what's going on here. I mean, look, you take a look at this and you get a bunch of symbols, so it's not very intuitive at all. So I think the best thing really with this synth, rather than me pretending to know what I'm talking about and that I understand, which I don't, I'm just going to play some presets so you can hear for yourself exactly what this synth can do. Wow, doesn't that just sound beautiful? What a fantastic synth. Link is in the description. Go check it out. It's definitely one of a kind. And I think the ensembles that I've showcased here definitely answer the question as to whether Reaktor is, still valid after 20 years, and whether it can kick ass or not. I think the answer very clearly is yes. It still has a huge amount to offer. So it's still relevant, and people are still using it to create some fantastic stuff. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you did get value from the video, please like and subscribe. That's always very welcome. And do let me know in the comments below what you think of these ensembles that we've looked at, and maybe suggest some others that I've missed and that I should be taking a look at. So while you're still here, why not take a look at the videos YouTube is recommending for you, and I'll see you on the next one.